Where is And hello, good morning, everybody. Just switch off the music. Good morning, everybody. And here we are at Paper Fetish, having our morning coffee with Alex. And Alex is a visitor from our project of clothing and book swap. So, good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good. I'm having my coffee, which is a nice start.
Yeah. And how is your Sunday morning?
Good. It's a dry morning, so it's a nice walk in the weather this morning.
All right, that's great. That's already something in winter in Amsterdam.
Exactly.
How is your time in Amsterdam? Like, tell about where you come from and how you managed to come to Amsterdam.
So I'm a student at the University of Amsterdam doing my master's degree in
Okay.
neuroeconomics.
All right.
Yeah.
Exciting,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah. And where are you originally from?
I moved here from the US.
All right.
Yeah.
And how does it feel to be in Amsterdam? How different is it?
It's very different, but in a good way. I like that I don't have to drive anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get used to the bikes?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been riding a bike instead of driving a car in the US for many years. So for me, it was a nice adjustment to come to a place where bike is the norm.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of people bike at any weather, at any circumstances. They bike with huge rolled carpets, with chairs,
moving furniture.
Moving furniture on the bike.
I've seen it.
Moving 6 children in the wheel, like a kindergarten on one bike.
Yeah. I think my favorite I've seen was someone standing on the back rack of the bike to be transported. So you see someone standing full height on the back of the bike and his friend is just biking him along.
Yeah, that's fun. Only they have to be careful for passing under the bridges.
If you're Dutch, that's a real risk that you're too tall and you hit the bridge.
For Dutch, is always the risk to be too tall.
That is true.
You heard that they are tallest nation in the world, except for some very small African tribe.
Oh, interesting.
The tallest nation in the world.
Yeah.
Like how they should feel like. They should feel like guilty a priori, like in front of the rest of the world population.
Well, the explanation I heard is that because there have been so many floods, that only the tallest survived every generation.
Really hilarious.
So maybe that's why.
It's like the best expat topic of the morning breakfast is making jokes about Dutch people. Oh my God, I hope no Dutch people get watching this and get
thankfully they tend to have a good sense of humor.
Well, yeah, sometimes you. It's better don't let them to joke too far though.
Yeah.
And my favorite joke is that when Dutch people ask me, but why did you move to Holland? It sounds like they just feel like this is the worst country in the world. I cannot believe that you moved here. Just explain me why did you do this mistake? And then I say, well, I like bicycles and bald men. And that was the bald man asking me, and he was a journalist. And it was supposed to be a public interview, but you know what?
Yes.
First thing, he wrote this in the newspaper, in like national newspaper about this answer.
Oh wow!
And second, he was like, he's still messaging me once in a while, sometimes late at night.
Yes, it's obviously he took you like bald men, eh? He liked that comment.
So it's like, okay, this is our little silly Sunday morning chat about Dutch people. So how do you feel about Paper Fetish? Is like your first time here?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's a great space. I have wanted to come to events before. I saw about the cinema night. That sounded really interesting. So I really love spaces that provide an experience and something interactive that you can do when you come to the space. So I'm excited to be here.
All right, it's a good feedback. Really, it's really nice. And I would be really curious to test on you this little project of Book of the Day. It's like your visitor. you obviously don't have so much of photography background, knowing by the cover what will be inside.
Yes, yeah.
So it's just like exciting. Just feel free to pick any book you like, and then we can talk about the book. Yeah,
I can pick up one that stood out to me when I walked in this morning. Actually,
okay, that's the best thing to do, actually. Oh, this is going to be harsh.
I was going to say it's a bit heavy for the morning,
it's a very heavy book, actually. It is.
The reason that I picked it up is because I don't think I've ever picked up a book and been afraid to open it. And opening the first page of this, I actually had this feeling of I don't know if I can open this book, especially early in the morning. But it's a very interesting idea, and it's very striking. Kind of the concept.
And now you're opening it in the morning and in front of like 2-3 live streamings, and that's super exciting.
It's a bold move. Try something new, right?
It's a bold move, and it's a heavy book, but it's a part of our civilization and what it actually produces.
Yeah.
So it's like very true reflection on it. So I'm curious, what would you say about this? So it's
like the middle or something, I guess.
Yeah.
So it is a very heavy book already for the morning.
It's a very heavy morning book, and it's a reflection of a war photographer about how he experienced the war in its like ugliest side. So it's like putting in the face of humanity, like, look what you make, and you continue making it for some reason, because war is actually an industry, and it's like they don't care about the people who get killed. They use it only as a part of propaganda tool to keep waging the wars, and this needs to be stopped. And actually, in the end of this book, the photographer reflects on his own background, because he's German, and his grandfather was Nazi, and he writes that his grandfather was actually not talking about the war or war crimes or killings, what they did. He was only talking about the horses, I think.
His horse. All he ever talked about was his horse.
Yes. So it was so striking. So the photographer wanted to dig into this kind of past in metaphoric level, like that this continues now as well. So this book became super popular. It's from German publisher, which is, I think, super brave from Germans to talk about this kind of past. And it was, I think this is already a second edition, because the first one got sold out. It became very, very actually strong and successful book.
I believe it. I think what's interesting to me is a lot of these photos still include faces, and when we see, or at least when I have seen news about war, the photography usually omits faces, which in some way I think tells a different, gives a different emotional impression. So that is really interesting to me. But I didn't know that it was by a German photographer, which is also, as you mentioned, really significant.
It's also, like newspapers cannot publish too harsh images, because not to shock people. And it's obviously the fact that magazines, they still live on advertisings, and so you cannot advertise the Swiss watch next to this like war crimes things. So they kind of swipe it a little bit aside to under the carpet, So
but
so this is what you can find under the carpet of human civilization. And it's sad. This book makes me extremely sad, but it also gives so much reflection on what is actually happening in our human society and why. I think, but people who are brave enough to look in this book and not be afraid, they can come on Paper Fetish and have a look. And I think this book is like a must-have, because when it disappears, it's not there anymore. It's out of print, so it's like a must-have in your home when your children are grown enough to handle this stuff. I think they should see it as well. Mm-hmm. At least when my son is a bit grown up, I will definitely show him these things and talk to him about this. So it's obvious that, like, hopefully person doesn't want to become a soldier or something like that and go and continue this war industry.
And to support leaders that don't promote that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it's now becomes heavier with America and Russia. And we are now.
I was going to say we're having a very befitting representation this morning.
Yes, and we sit here on the one table, peacefully having coffee, having a nice conversation, and we are actually representatives of maybe two of the most powerful and aggressive nations. Yeah. What can we do about it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer. At least vote. It's the smallest thing you can always do is try. Yeah. In Russia, maybe it's also a bit different. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I was actually working as a war journalist for some very short period of time. I was on a very short war in Caucasus, but it was already such a huge experience for me that I said I will never do it again because it's too much of participating in the propaganda mechanism. And it's also a lot of manipulation of the images and what's happening inside the scene, because you select the most bright scenes and you dismiss the rest. And I decided not to do it again because it's not helping anything. And I decided it's much better to not completely dismiss the fact that war exists, but is like choose another perspective, cultivate your own little garden, and in this way you contribute to the peace instead of thinking about the war all the time. Because for me it was huge stress when Russia started like conflict with Ukraine or other way around. Yeah, so it was like the big stress if I should go there, and I was almost going there, and in the end some like accident happened to me which I couldn't go, and I was assigned that I should stay away from this and just do my little peaceful thing, which would possibly contribute a little bit into the peace. That's my at least morning answer for now, I guess. So, and our other little peaceful contribution to the world is that every Sunday morning we organize a little clothes swap and book swap, which means that we contribute also to like recycling and not overproduction. So, what do you think about this project?
I think it's a great project. Overconsumption is something that I think about a lot, especially as an American. We're probably the most over-consuming country in the world. So even moving from the United States to the Netherlands, which I think has mostly a similar kind of lifestyle, people do consume so much less than in the Netherlands. Even so, even though economically we're kind of pretty similar. So the idea of how much do you really need, and kind of is it worth the cost to the environment to take resources to have a new shirt or something. For me, it's quite clear that there's a benefit to recycling instead and to kind of circulating existing material.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is the natural result that the country is flourishing economically. And I still see that Netherlands is also over-consuming a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you enter all those H&M and Primark, and you just get overwhelmed of the crazy crowds, which like buys everything they see because it's discounted, because it's the low price. And there are a lot of news like about child labor and workers underpayment in the third world countries, in the textile industry.
Well, and it takes a lot of water to actually, just the natural resources too is something I think about. So of course there's definitely the human element, but the cost of the environment of producing this clothes, as an economist, we think a lot about the idea of, is the real cost of a good in the pair of socks or shirt or whatever, and the real cost of the environment is not in the cost of that €4 t-shirt at Primark. So it's all kind of a fake cheap price. Too.
And there was a big scandal with Uzbekistan, you know, because Uzbekistan basically closes down the schools for 1 or 2 months, closes down the hospitals and everything, because everybody who is anything government related organizations are just sent to the cotton fields, obligatory, like a slave labor. Really, it's obligatory, is like a known fact. And I was in Uzbekistan, and it was a funny story. We were in taxi with Timur Karpov, a son of the famous photojournalist in Uzbekistan, and we stopped to photograph the field, and we saw children working on the field. And then as soon as we approached those children, there was a guy who started chasing us, so we had to run away. But I still do have some pictures of children working on the cotton fields, and it still keeps going on, so it doesn't stop or
as long
change.
As there's demand and profit to be made, it will continue.
Exactly, and then the government, of course, does make profit from it, but not the people. So,
also true.
So this is like the other side of overproduction, but let's not be so pessimistic, because there is a lot of things which can be done with it. So we can have those little morning meetings and have exchange of like what we don't want anymore. We just give it to other people, and then we find something new. And in this case, we refresh, because it's when we wear stuff, we don't usually finish it. And the same with the books.
That's true.
And we do a lot of nice things with old stuff. For example, this is the very nice cover for the pot to keep it warm, and it's made by Anna Aretaki at her Wonder Knitting workshop. So she does she cuts the old T-shirts and does this like threads, and everybody can come and learn doing the same. It's for the things which are not usable in normal situations anymore. And so we can do it every Tuesday. You can come and join this workshop with Anna. And for old books, we have so much of the different, like this is interior decoration, and also this is a very good sound isolation, the old books. So these are possibly the books which nobody wants to read. I don't know if you want to read that list. But there are thousands of ways to use old stuff and make it cool again.
And if you're in Amsterdam with the thin walls and the old buildings, sound insulation is maybe a nice thing to consider.
We had already neighbors complaining from upstairs about our little parties here, so we do need to do some sound isolation indeed. All right. Well, guys, I think it was a very nice morning program, and thank you, Alex, very much for being with us. Great. So keep going. Have a good day. Have a good Sunday. Ciao. And share. And here.